Before the Imperium of Man feared the sight of the traitorous Death Guard, the Legion was a stalwart defender of humanity. Each and every battle brother was perfectly equipped to endure and prevail against any foe encountered on the battlefield. Before they were reunited with their Primarch Perturabo, the Legion was referred to as the Dusk Raiders, and they fought with the surety that only such an adaptable military force could achieve. Like the rest of the Astarte legions, the Dusk Raiders were created towards the end of the Unification Wars and the beginning of the Great Crusade. The majority of the first recruits were drawn from Holy Terra itself, specifically the ancient and warlike clans of Old Albia, which were situated in the southeastern part of Europe. The Emperor of Mankind chose the Sons of Albia not just for the Dusk Raiders, but also the Night Lords and the Iron Hands Legion. There were two major reasons why the Emperor chose Old Albia. Firstly, by collecting the strongest and most resilient warriors from their old rival, the Emperor ensured that the techno-barbarian warlords remained loyal to the Great Crusade. Secondly, the Emperor wished to incorporate the martial traditions and old bloodlines of Albia into his crusading force. By absorbing their children, the Emperor inherited the warrior spirit of an old nation that had held power on Holy Terra for so long during the Old Night. It adopted the history of this ancient human culture. It was the ancient Albion warriors, led by the relentless warlord, Narthan Doom, that saw a tremendous victory over the ancient Pan-Pacific Empire during the Age of Strife. Eventually, the people of Old Albia earned their freedom from the tyrannical descendants of the unspeakable king through brutal wars of attrition. It was no surprise to the Emperor that Old Albia refused to surrender or plead fealty to the Imperium of Man during the Unification Wars. Having cast off the shackles of tyranny, they were not going to accept any other ruler without a fight. Instead, the Albions met the Emperor's regiments of Thunder Warriors with their own battalions of steam-belching proto-dreadnoughts and heavily armored Ironside soldiers. In battle after battle, the forces of the Unification were held in check, although at the shattering cost of the Albions, who would not give in despite the Imperial onslaught. Impressed with the Albions' martial temper and indomitable courage, the Emperor called for a ceasefire and sought victory over the warlord clans through peaceful negotiations. Understanding that to crush them by force alone would entail a grinding war of attrition that would only serve to decimate his own forces and gain him nothing but a handful of ashes as a prize of war. Eventually, the Emperor chose to pursue peace despite counsel against this action by his generals. The Mentor of Mankind approached the ancient warrior nation, unarmed and clothed in white and crimson. The Emperor spoke of the warlords' parliament and laid before them a vision of a future of mankind, reunited, and of tyrants toppled and nightmares slain. He offered them glory amongst the stars, and most importantly, redemption for the many hundreds of years of kinslaying and bloodshed. To the shock of many, the warlords of Old Albia accepted the Emperor's vision. In doing so, the Albion clans became amongst the Unification's most zealot supporters, although still untrusted by many, lending their warriors and secrets for the Emperor's eyes alone. Most importantly for the future of humanity, the Albions sacrificed their sons to become the first Space Marines. These warriors were spread throughout the legions, but their stoic temperament matched best with the gene seed of the indomitable Dusk Raiders. As a matter of fact, the name Dusk Raiders was bestowed onto them because of the battlefield tactics inherited from the old Albion warlords. The Legion preferred to conduct all major ground attacks at the fall of night, when the shift of the light confused the enemy. They utilized the encroaching shadows from a disappearing sun to advance across the battlefield, making it seem as if the Legion rose from the darkness. Many armies would simply run away from the fear caused by this terrifying and mystical assault. Their reputation became synonymous with the chilling grasp of death. In defense, they were stubborn and unmovable, able to stand unwavering against the heaviest fire and hold their position against any enemy to the last living body in the bolter shell if needed. In attack, they systematically destroyed a given target, crashing upon an enemy with wave after wave of armored bodies, excelling in close-range fights and bloody attrition. Their gray and unadorned power armor began to carry symbols of rank and decoration. It once carried the armorial imagery of the Ironsides of Old Albia, and most telling, their right vambrands, gauntlets, and shoulder plates were painted the deep crimson of dried blood. Now they symbolized the red right hand of the Emperor's justice, where once it had proclaimed the murderous reach of the Pan-Pacific Empire's unspeakable king. The Dusk Raiders adopted the Legion's badge of a half-skull with a setting sun on the other half. This, of course, was a representation of the Legion's favorite battlefield tactic, and as a way to pay respect for their ancestors of Old Albia. This extreme pride for their past would cause friction once they were reunited with their Primarch Mortarion, and recruits began to come in from the feral world of Barbarous. As relentless as they were in the attack, the Dusk Raiders were known to be honorable opponents as well, who would hold to bargains struck for early surrender and honor symbols of truce. When such terms lapsed, however, and the die was cast for destruction, it was just a widely known fact that nothing would stay in the Dusk Raiders' hands. Such honorable terms were only extended to human foes, worthy of being brought into the fold of Imperial compliance. However, to the degenerate, the mutant, the alien, no such mercies were ever given. The Dusk Raiders fought in the service of the Great Crusade for the next 8 solar decades, still fatherless during this time, as the other Space Marine legions gained their long-lost Primarchs until only a handful remained to be rediscovered. This orphan status further bred a self-reliance and a quite stubborn pride in the Dusk Raiders' self-forged character. The Dusk Raiders are noted in the Imperial records of this period as maintaining a well-rounded capacity for unleashing multiple modes of warfare, although with some bias towards heavy assault formations and attrition engagements, as evidenced by the particular use of close-range weaponry within the Legion. The Dusk Raider Legion relied upon its infantry to provide its strategic strength, with the bolt of tactical fire support coming from heavy armed support squads, and later with a considerable number of Terminators and Dreadnoughts providing reinforcement and an assault spearhead when needed. If the Death Guard would have remained loyal to the Emperor, or if one of the many Terran-born Astartes that became Black Shields during the Horus Heresy somehow managed to create a successor, that chapter would possess the same independence and reliability as the Dusk Raiders. If you wanted to create a homebrewed chapter that descended from the gene seed of the Primarch Mortarion, the principal doctrines of that chapter would surround the Space Marine's ability to operate for extended periods of time without resupply or support from any other major Imperial Adepta. A crusading chapter that was capable of fighting anywhere, on any ground, and destroy any enemy through resilience, resolve, and stoic aggression would be perfect for this legion. Another really good source, and something that I recommend you guys watching after this if you are interested in creating a successor chapter of the Death Guard, definitely go over to our Death Guard versus the Imperium, or the Ancient Civilizations of the Imperium, I think the title is. I'll link it down in the description below. If not, it's going to be at the very top of this video. But basically, that is a video dedicated to 3 different battles that the Dusk Raiders, or the Death Guard at that point, were able to fight with the help of Mortarion, obviously. I didn't include those in this video because this was just supposed to be a Dusk Raider standalone type of video. But again, I really recommend you checking that out. And also, if you are looking to create your own homebrewed chapter, check out our 40 facts on how to create your own homebrewed chapter. I'll link that at the top of this video as well. I go over all the different pointers that I can give you as far as how you can create your own successor chapter and still implement that into the lore of Warhammer 40K. Not that you need it, obviously. If you want to create a successor chapter and just go crazy with it, you definitely can, but if you want to tie that into the lore of Warhammer 40K, or the established lore of Warhammer 40K, I show you how to do it, so I'll link that video like I said. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you guys have suggestions for any other topics, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have any questions about the Dusk Raiders, or if you have questions about anything else, let me know also in the comment section below. I'll be down there answering questions for you. And obviously, if you guys see any questions that you guys could answer, just help everybody out and just answer those questions as you're scrolling through the comments. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description. If you guys want to support us, it's just $1 a month. With that dollar, it helps us create more videos for you guys. I'm trying to create videos that are more about the hobby and not so much of the lore, but then at the same time I'm trying to combine both of those within a video series. So that's in the work right now, or in the works right now. As we go forward, you'll see that the schedule is going to change a little bit, just because there are some things coming up in the near future, but more details on that in the Greater Wall episode. So if you guys want to check that stuff out, or if you're interested in that, the Greater Wall episodes will explain a little bit more. Again, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.